All right, we're live. What's going on, Lead Gen Beast? Matty Ice here, Leads for Locals. I have a really awesome video for you guys today. I am joined by my good friend Amara from Sovereign Financial Harbor Agency. All right, it's kind of a tongue twister. I have to slow that down, but I'm very intrigued. I've been very much looking forward to this conversation because Amara is absolutely crushing it in her agency for her financial advisors, particularly running one of the annuity Facebook ad lead generation campaigns inside of ALGM 2.0. And she has just figured out and worked through and put in place a really good system for obviously generating the leads, which we kind of have that down, but getting a system in place to get people on the phone and get appointments booked. She's gotten so good at it at this point to where she guarantees between, I think it's 8 to 10 appointments per month, guaranteed. And more importantly than that, she's helped her advisors combined close over $4.8 million. That was the last time I checked. But before we went live, she just told me they closed another 350,000, then another 500,000 deal this month, something like that. Just something crazy. So obviously she's very busy, but she's been kind enough to give us some of her time today to walk us through her process, how she is getting these types of results, because that is just absolutely incredible results that you're getting for people. So Amara, really glad to have you, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. You know, I've been working with you going on a year now. And it all started, just by running those ads. And I have had my small group of advisors that I've worked with for the last year. And with the leads, what's important to me is not only the relationship with the advisor, but the relationship with the client. Mm-hmm. I make it a very personal touch. I make it very less salesy. And so there's less pressure. It takes it off of them. When I'm talking to them, it just flows easily. And by the time you get to your first appointment, you'll know how old they are, how much money they have, where they have their money, full fact finder ready for you on your first appointment. That way, at least you're guaranteed to know you're talking to a person. And the best part is they know that they're talking to you about annuities. Right. You're not tiptoeing around the subject. And annuities is the main platform that I've used. I haven't done, I've tried life insurance and IULs, but I'm really only in the annuity field. And I've worked in this industry for more than 10 years, and I've seen a lot of the ugly side of it. When I first started, I worked with JD Melberg, and it was all burned leads, and they've been rebooked, or you're trying to steal advisors' leads from somebody, and it just was messy. And then I started seeing the more of the lead side of this, and how the advisors are the ones that are getting the short end of the stick. And I book appointments very well. And I just thought that this would be easy for me to just work for you, make you appointments, and you get everything handed to you by the time you're ready to talk to them. And so
you're doing all the heavy lifting for the advisors.
Yeah.
It's here, let's back up for a second though. So the campaign, see, here's the thing, I'll get people that ask me sometimes, can I run a campaign for mortgage protection or a specific type of annuity or something like that? Or can we run a campaign for assets under management? And here's what I've noticed, and give me your experience on this. Annuities, I don't know, there's just something about annuities, people already know, they've heard that term before, so they're familiar with it, versus trying to promote a specific type of product, where they wouldn't really know what it is. It sounds complicated. Annuities, they've heard that term. They can kind of wrap their head around it. So correct me if I'm wrong. The primary campaign, since you're in annuities, the campaign that you've been running, was it the annuity guide campaign that has been bringing all the leads in?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's what,
because I found that it's just better to have a somewhat of a broader approach, and obviously lead with value, content, education, because something like annuities is they can be pretty complicated, not to mention a longer sales cycle. So there's education involved. So I found that it's better to lead with some type of guide, checklist, something that's going to educate them. What's been your experience with that? Like calling leads that have requested something like an annuity guide versus the other leads that maybe you've purchased or generated in the past. What's been the biggest difference?
I think with the guide, it's like telling them to map it out. So I use that map it out. So in the guide that it's saying, to say that this is what we're going to do. We're going to map it out. Let's make a roadmap for you for your successful retirement. And we're going to be on this trip together and assure them that we're going to help them and then, guide them in the right direction, take that stress off their shoulders.
Gotcha. So tell me about, and actually, before we continue, guys, I want to let you know, if you want to connect with Amara, we're going to have a link down in the description where she's also going to put together all of the results, like, so you can see this for yourself, like the text that she gets from her advisors, the amount of business that's being done. So if you want to verify it, we're going to have a link down below. She's going to put that together. And of course, if you want to connect with Amara and potentially bring her onto your team to get similar results, then obviously make sure you book a call with her as well. Let me ask you this, Amara. When you get people on the phone, all right, and after this, I actually want to ask you about your process for getting people on the phone, because that's usually the biggest hurdle that people have with this type of lead generation system, is actually getting people on the phone and having a conversation with them. But once you do, let me ask you, like, what's the conversation like? Do they know who you are? Are they open to having a conversation once you finally get them on? What is that conversation like? Or do you have to push through a little bit? What is it like?
No, I'm typically just start with, hey, this is Amara. You requested that information about that annuity guide. So I'm just giving you a call in regards to that. And then
and they're receptive to that. Like they know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
They get plenty of text messages. So they'll all, and in my text say, I'm going to call you. So they know, and they're very well aware that I will be reaching out.
So that's one of the first texts that you send is that, hey, we're going to call you with regards to the annuity guide.
Yeah. Or even feel free to text back. Let me know if you want to book an appointment.
Right.
Have a few call to actions in our text messages to help them and take the weight off the shoulders of the awkward call. So that way at least they know too. And then once I get them on the phone and I tell them or remind them that they requested the information, I straight jump to, oh, are you, still working or are you retired? That's the number one question. And then typically if they're retired, I'm like, okay, well, are you looking for or safety, or is everything okay if they're talking about safety or if they're looking for income? So my next question typically is like, are you looking for safe growth or are you looking for income purposes? And then, typically you'll get your legacies as well. So it's someone who's just trying to leave something for their loved one. And then I try to find out if they're still working, if they're going to have an income gap, because that's always a big concern for them, and where their money is, if they're in the stock market, if they are in the stock market, have they lost anything? If they've lost something, how much have they lost? And I just keep that flow going. And it's just so calm and easy as the call's going that they give me everything that you need to have a successful first appointment.
Well, and it's, it doesn't sound like you're trying to shove annuities down anybody's throat. You're doing it's like a fact-finding mission almost, where like, I really like that first question, asking them if they're currently retired or not, versus just like jumping right into talking about annuities. I think that really lets people's guard down. They're going to have a conversation with a real person, which is huge. That's going to actually listen and ask questions. I think that's massive. Now let's talk about getting people on the phone. Walk me through that process, because I mean, obviously for most people, you're probably not going to get them on the phone the first one or two tries, right? But this has always been the biggest roadblock with this marketing system, is getting people on the phone. So how do you get people on the phone so consistently that you're able to guarantee 8 to 10 appointments every month?
Well, I have a dialer, so I kind of cheat. I have a local presence.
That's just being efficient. That ain't cheating. That's just being efficient. So you use a power dialer?
Yeah, and it will call 3 or 4 people, depending on how it can call up to 5, but I don't like to have people on hold, so I usually do up to 3. It'll call 3 numbers at a time, and it only gives me a human. And if it's a voicemail, it leaves my automatic voicemail, and I don't have to waste my time doing that. Right. But the local presence is the win. So it's coming up as like I'm calling you from your area. Chances are you'll answer that over someone who's maybe not in the state with you. Because a lot of our leads, I always say pick 3 states. So you may not be right next door in their backyard, but you can get somebody that's right next to you and it'll pop up that way. But then they're very well aware when they talk to you where you're calling from. So that way they know. And I let them know, okay, well, I'm going to set you up with this person. I'll send you a portfolio. It'll have where they're from, has a bio, has a picture of them. And that's something I
Of the
create.
advisor?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you send
Yeah.
like
So
a
I'll create
full
that. Yeah.
package to the client. Okay.
Yeah. So that way it's not a surprise. You know who
Right.
you're talking to. If you got
Right.
a friendly
Yeah.
face.
So they feel like they already kind of know the person a little bit. It really props up the advisor
Yeah.
as well. It makes it a lot more professional, positions them as the expert. I love that.
Yeah. And they like that too. So that they're not going to get some random person in China or something. You
Right.
never know. Like
Right.
calling you from another state to scam you.
Yeah.
That's
for
the
sure.
big thing with these leads is making them feel safe, helping them trust you.
Right.
That's the big thing.
So your typical day is what? Like, do you just, so obviously you got the campaigns, those kind of run on autopilot, once you get through the learning phase or whatnot. So leads are coming in. Are you automatically feeding those leads into the power dialer and then you just turn the power dialer on every day and wait till you get connected?
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
it?
Yeah. Right now, I mean, I got more than 1,000 that I dial. So it's like, I'm
So
busy.
you don't even care really how many times like the system calls people, because it's just going to call for you. You're
Yeah.
not manually doing anything. You're just literally waiting for somebody to pick up. And
Yeah,
at
and they
that point,
requested this. So I'm going to call you until you tell me not to call you.
right? Do you call the same people every day?
Yeah. I mean, because
So
typically
you
it
don't
could take
space it
up
out
to
at
10
all,
times to get somebody to answer.
right? Have you tracked that? Have you seen how many times it, like the average amount of times it takes to get people on the phone? Do you know that?
I'd say it would be between 5 and 10 calls. I
Okay.
know it's a lot, but that's this business. And when they fill
Yeah.
something out, it's like health insurance. They got 100 people calling
Mhm.
them about this one thing. And so, well, I'm going to be one of those 100, and eventually they'll answer me.
Right, right. But see, it's so much easier for you then, because like I get the frustration that people have when they're doing this on their own and they're manually calling people every single day. Like that's lead fatigue. Like that gets exhausting and frustrating. I get it. But if all you have to do is turn on a power dialer
Yeah.
and just literally sit there until somebody picks up the phone, at that point, it's just a matter of how many leads can you get into that power dialer. Like the more leads you have, the more likely you are to get somebody on the phone. And with the system that we use with Facebook ads, I mean, get a pretty decent amount of volume of leads pretty quickly. It depends on your budget. But at that point, it just becomes a matter of how many leads can you feed into that power dialer system, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's unlimited. And the more you put into your ads, the more leads you'll have to call. And
right.
so it's really up to
Do
you.
you, which what power dialer are you using? It's not in
Kixie?
high level, right? What's it?
No. Kixie?
Kixie?
Kixie.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. And then, is that like, do you have a web hook that connects your high level account to the power dialer, or do you mainly put them in every day, like the new
That you
leads
could
that
do
come in?
both. I have mine integrated. So it just
Is
feeds
there a
you.
direct integration with high level?
Yeah, that
Oh,
would go
nice,
high level specifically. Yeah.
nice. So
I
as
don't know
new
about
leads
other
come in,
CRMs.
okay, but with high level, so as new leads come in, they automatically get added to your power dialer.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
then
awesome.
if let's say I've talked to them, if I disposition it, you always have to disposition it correctly. It won't call it again if they've said don't call. So I'm not obviously going to keep calling people who don't
For
want to,
sure.
or maybe they don't have money. I'm not going
Right.
to keep calling them. And I even offer to call your book of business because sometimes you just don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
sit there and call 200-300 people, but this dialer will do it for you. And I could
Sure.
just book you an appointment out of your own book of business that you didn't even know you might have had in your own pocket.
Yeah, I would think that would be the number one place to start.
Yeah.
That's like an agent reactivation campaign, a cold call or warm call reactivation campaign. I mean, I've had phenomenal results doing reactivation campaigns in all different kinds of industries. So if you guys are sitting on leads that you haven't closed, I mean, you never know. Like, you put 200-300 people into a power dialer, and considering the fact that we're talking about a very high commission product, you only need to get 1 or 2 people out of it, like to make it worth it. Right. So, let me see if there was, I know I had some other stuff that I wanted to ask with, with the appointments. Well, you kind of covered this already. I was going to ask you what the key is to getting those appointments, but it seems like you just have a really good way of communicating with people. Like that makes such a huge difference. It's one thing to get people on the phone, but are you able to actually convert that into a booked appointment? So let me ask you this, like, what do you think your numbers are from contact to appointment? Like, what's your appointment close rate on like, how many leads do you have to talk to in order to get an appointment?
I always say, because that is always the number one question, I would say out of every 10 leads that you get coming into your system, you could get up to 2 appointments out of those. And if you take 2, and it again just depends on how much you put into your ads. If let's say let's stay with the 10 a month, I'd say you should be able to close at least 1 out of those 10.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the kind of numbers
if
that we
you
have seen.
so if you talk to 10 people, you're going to get 2-3 appointments out of that. I'm talking about people you talk to.
Yeah.
You have like a 20-30% close rate when it comes to booking
And then
the
I would
appointment.
say because I always try to shoot for 14 to 15. That way, let's say 10, maybe not 10. That's a high number. I would say maybe if 5 or 6 of them didn't meet, those no-shows or cancellations don't hurt as much. So I always try to shoot for a higher number. My minimum guarantee is 10, but I always try to shoot for more. So that way, because you are going to see no-shows. It just happens. That's this industry. It's just something you can't control. And people suck. Buyers are liars. It's big. That's my main phrase.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So, I try to shoot for more, because out of those 14, I would say you'll have 6 great conversations, and out of those 6, you should be able to close at least 1.
Sure, I got you. Do you have a process for contacting the people that no show? Do you put them back into the power dialer?
Yeah, so there's a workflow that'll send them a text message, give them a link to rebook, and I always redial once a month. I will call all the leads that have been met that may have fallen off. Maybe they didn't meet the 3rd appointment or something, or no shows. So I always rework those at least once a month, so that I add that to the workload.
Right, because those are still good leads. I mean, maybe they just got busy, forgot, distracted, whatever. I mean, you don't know what happened. So you got to be just you got to take the emotion out of it and just put them back into the dialer again, put them back into the process, because it doesn't mean they're not interested. Life just happens. It is what it is. So I guess what we can finish up with is like the feedback that you've received from your advisors. I mean, obviously the results speak louder than anybody's words. $4.8 million of annuity business. Now that's annuity business. That's not commission. That's annuity business, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is still a lot of freaking money.
A lot of commission.
Right. But I want to be clear on that. So obviously, as people are closing these things, I mean, I would imagine you're getting really good feedback. Like, what's been the feedback? Have you received any bad feedback or negative feedback? What's the positive feedback been like? Walk us through that.
Well, with the positive feedback, I'm always hearing that it's just comfortable. It's easy. It's nice that you don't have to tiptoe around the annuity. It's like the word you don't say, the word that must not be named, and everybody freaks out about it. And I think they're just comfortable. They're well prepared. And it's kind of like
you set them up that way.
Yeah. And if they said that they're going to go visit their grandkids this weekend, and that's why they'll meet Monday, I'll put in there, they're going to go visit their grandkids, maybe bring something up about, oh, I see that you saw your grandkids. How was that?
Right.
Make it personal. People like that. They don't want you to just be talking about work and business, and they like personal things. And as far as negative, I would say, because these are virtual leads, These are not, I mean, I have seen some of my advisors convert them to face-to-face, but, I would say all my business is done virtually and or phone appointments or over Zoom. So if you struggle in that business, I think that's a big thing. I think that's the only negative. I've worked with a lot of the older folks in this business in the advisor world, and they struggle with the virtual online stuff. So I sit one-on-one and will train you. And I have a whole script to help the advisors to go in to feel comfortable. I try to role play if that helps you, talking to somebody. And I've given advice on, okay, well, what happened? They'll tell me what happened. Then I'll tell them maybe you shouldn't have done that. I'll give them advice. Yes, I'm not an advisor myself, but I've seen all different sides of this industry of what they don't like. And I'm just trying to help you be more successful. So I take one-on-one time to train you on maybe don't say those kind of things or how to sound more human and less, advisor.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because everybody's sales ability is a little bit different. And sometimes you need to change it up, because if you're getting, I mean, obviously you're not going to close everything. That's just not going to happen. But, with these types of appointments that, they specifically requested information about annuities. Like you were saying earlier, you don't have to dance around that term. They already know what's going on here. All right. They know what the conversation's about. You've already pre-qualified them. You've set the appointment up. They know what's happening. I mean, that's, at that point, you just got to make sure you don't screw it up. All right. Make sure you have a proven sales process or presentation process, the education process, whatever, to walk them through this. And you should be closing on a pretty consistent basis, I imagine. If you're not, then you're doing something to screw it up, which is fine. That's okay. But you got to acknowledge that and do something about it. So I like that you help them through that. I think that was about it. Let me double check my bullet points here. One other thing I was going to ask you, do you, in your process, like with the appointment, so the appointment comes up, obviously they're going to get the reminders and stuff, but I've heard of people doing this, and I was going to start putting this in the training, is when you, the day of or at the time of the appointment, to have the person who initially booked the appointment to call them and then transfer them over to the advisor. Do you do anything like that? Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it. I've tried it in the past with other small businesses that I've worked with, and transfers are just so complicated sometimes. Just, if I think on the advisor side, I've only seen that they're the ones not answering the phone when I'm calling to transfer them. But I haven't gotten into that. I do same day appointments. I do a lot of same day appointments. I just have not pressed on the, well, let's do this right now, kind of thing. I try to give them some time to look at the information I send them so that they could see the advisor and it have more of like a bridge to walk over instead of trying to cut corners. And I feel like that in a way is kind of cutting corners. It is a quick, and if it works for people, that's great. But I haven't personally put that into my workflow.
Gotcha. Well, you already have a system that's working anyway, so don't need to fix what isn't broken. So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. Was there anything else specific that you wanted to share about your process, results that you're getting? Did we cover the majority of it?
Yeah, I think we covered it. And, I'm happy to talk to anybody, answer any questions, and, clarify anything if you have anything for me.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, Amara, really appreciate your time. It's been a fascinating conversation. I love when people are absolutely crushing it, man. This is it's just really exciting because it makes such a huge difference in the advisors' lives, and then obviously, they're doing right by their clients, helping them secure their financial future. So it's just such a massive positive ripple effect of this kind of stuff. And sometimes I think that's often overlooked with what we do. We get so fixated on creating income, and we're excited to help business owners, but we don't sometimes appreciate the true ripple effect that these types of things are having, right? So you're changing lives over there. It's really exciting. Really proud of you. It's really
cool. We're doing the work that they don't want to do. So
yeah, and you're really good at it, obviously. So guys, if you're in the industry and you want somebody that has a proven process for guaranteeing not just booking them, guaranteeing appointments every single month because she's so freaking good at it. If that's what you want in your advisory, then make sure you connect with Amara. We're going to have her links down in the description below. Book a call and see if it's a good fit for you guys. So Amara, again, appreciate your time. Keep crushing it and look forward to the next one.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Talk soon.